Hey y'all, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. It is November 16th, 2025. As you see in the title of this video, we're going to be discussing this issue regarding this big gap between the rich and the poor and the middle class, disappearing, as everybody knows this, okay? But there's now trillionaire. There's going to be the first trillionaire. And while that's going on, what's happening to the rest of us here in America? So I'm going to go to the article. Will we, the people, tolerate a brave new world of trillionaires? Tech mogul Elon Musk is on course to become the world's first trillionaire, while billions struggle to survive at the poverty level. I guess billions are talking about in the world. Yes, because it's the world's first. Wow. Okay, so this is by Robert Bridge, American writer and journalist. Welcome to the 4 Comma Club, where South African native Elon Musk is slated to be the first human being of the modern age to have accumulated $1 trillion. To put that mind-boggling number into some perspective, that is more than the gross domestic product of 170 countries, including Belgium, Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Hong Kong, and New Zealand. Musk will not be alone for long in this ultra-privileged, ultra-exclusive club. Since billionaire wealth has risen 3 times faster in 2024 than in 2023, within the next decade, 5 people will hold the title of trillionaire, according to a recent study from the anti-poverty watchdog Oxfam. Meanwhile, due to an assortment of external factors like climate change and conflict, the number of people living in abject poverty has hardly changed since 1990. Almost 700 million people, 8.5% of the global population, now live on less than $2.15 per day. The report goes on to show that the election of Donald Trump as president in November 2024 has translated into a massive increase in billionaire wealth, while his aggressive pro-rich policies are predicted to exacerbate inequality further. And yes, everybody is going to say, well, that's not what we voted for him to do. It was to lift the middle class and working class to higher standards of living through manufacturing jobs returning to the U.S. and all that. So, and, to end the wars so that the money would be spent more for the American people. All his ideas, I don't think they're happening. Like we said, I dropped my support quite a while back, before even summer started. But in any case, let's just go with what he says here. In its latest report on poverty, the World Bank calculates that if present growth rates continue and inequality does not reverse, it will take more than a century to defeat poverty. Wow. It seems safe to say we have already lost that battle. Before continuing, it's important to mention the primary source of wealth today. Currently, there exists a strong belief, supported in the media and by Hollywood, that wealth accumulation is simply the reward for raw talent. But this perception is incorrect. Quote, most billionaire wealth is taken, not earned. 60% comes from either inheritance, cronyism, and corruption or monopoly power, Oxfam writes in a shocking finding. Rich families are passing down trillions of dollars in wealth per year, creating a new aristocratic oligarchy that has achieved tremendous power in our politics and our economy, the advocacy group warns. In the next few decades, wealth worth over an estimated $5 trillion is anticipated to be passed from one generation to another, while little of the fortune will be taxed, since the rich have numerous means for protecting their wealth from the taxman, as we know. Today, the wealthiest 10% of the people worldwide possess more than 85% of global riches. Perhaps it's no coincidence that just days before Tesla shareholders agreed to a $1 trillion payday for their CEO, New York City residents voted a socialist as their mayor. Zohran Mamdani, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, grabbed the top position in the Big Apple by promising New Yorkers a raft of enticements, including the freezing of rent payments, making buses free, and making childcare accessible to all city residents. A common chant heard at political rallies for Mr. Mamdani was, "Tax the rich." Indeed, taxing the rich doesn't sound like a very radical idea when considering Musk's brand new pay package. Meanwhile, even the Vatican was sounding the alarm on excessive wealth creation. In September, Pope Leo XIV said the one major factor contributing to global tensions was the continuously wider gap between the income levels of the working class and the money that the wealthiest receive. CEOs that 60 years ago might have been making 4 to 6 times more than what the workers are receiving, 600 times more now. The pontiff said in an excerpt of an interview conducted by the Catholic newspaper Crew. Yesterday, there was the news that Elon Musk is going to be the first trillionaire in the world. What does that mean, and what's that about? If that is the only thing that has value anymore, then we're in big trouble. The elephant in the room amid this obscene wealth creation is the patience of the millions of people who are being crushed in this brave new economy, which requires a lot of special technical skills in order to survive. Meanwhile, millions of high-paying jobs are disappearing thanks to AI. Will the underprivileged eventually take to the streets as billionaires become trillionaires overnight? Will we soon witness another left-wing Occupy Wall Street event? If September, that was in 2011, coming on the heels of another Great Recession, or heaven forbid, Great Depression. While protests along the road to riches seem inevitable, it seems unlikely that the super wealthy have much cause for concern, at least in the nearest frame of time. A quick glance at history shows that the have-nots have shown tremendous patience with the excessively rich, particularly in 1916 with the announcement that John D. Rockefeller had become the world's first billionaire, with the great exceptions stemming from violent union uprisings, which have largely become a relic of the distant past. All things considered, Elon Musk probably has little to worry about as his paycheck surpasses the $1 trillion mark. But it would be at least refreshing to see more advances being made on the tax and charitable front. A hefty new tax code for the world's trillionaires would be the decent and right thing to do. Yes, well, I tend to agree with him. And I want to say that if we had let me say this. I'm going to go through just the top of my head and see how it goes. First, I was thinking about the fact that all of these rich people are the big donors to our politicians, in our government. And they control everything. So we need to go back to getting money out of politics, overturning Citizens United. We need a living wage. The minimum wage should be higher, a living wage. I was talking to my friend last night. She was looking into some research on this instance of what our minimum wage should be with cost of living, inflation, all the things that come into consideration in saying this, is $30 an hour. Now, how many people in just the United States really make $30 an hour? The last time I heard, a lot of people, and to add to that, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, like at least 60%. And so it's not really a good system. Now, there are some people, they haven't budgeted well. There's this problem with spending a lot when you're stressed and you don't have much. I have seen videos on that. So you feel like you need to do something to alleviate your your stress, your pain, your struggles. And it's really terrible, the debt they're in. But there's a lot of people who are doing the right thing, scraping up the money, saving what they can save, which is really hard, working 2-3 jobs, trying to do these things. And really, I don't think it's right that anybody has to work 2 jobs unless they wanted to out of just their own voluntary decision. I think that one full-time job, 40 hours a week, should be a job that is a living wage so that they could at least pay for their apartment, rental, cost of the rental, like your rent, your utilities, your car payment, insurance, and all that. I think we should have universal health care. And again, all of these things are important. We are losing our middle class. It's become almost the serfs and the lords in this country. And it's not that I have anything against people be wealthy and making money. It's that they have this delusion of the American dream where most people cannot accomplish that at all. And it's been like that for quite a while, many years. And in some cases, my friend says it's always been that way for some people. They never were able to do that due to discriminations and things like that. But the point is, it's not a American dream that the average American can accomplish nowadays, and especially the last 20 years. It's just progressively got worse. You can't afford a house. Some people can't afford rent. They can't afford their car payments. Repos are happening. Evictions are happening. So I don't think it helps to be having more people who, just get rich or people are going to pass it down, which I understand. That's fine. That's families. But you have to give an equal chance for everybody else in the country. And I don't feel that we have that. I don't feel that we actually have a fair system for the rest of the people out there. I really just don't feel it. But, that's just my opinion, what I see. You all can share your opinion on that. And of course, as you know, while I read you that, people voted for Trump to, uplift people, working class people especially. He got a lot of working class people because he was going to bring manufacturing jobs to the country so that they could get to work and get decent salaries, we'd hope. Of course, again, you need to change that minimum wage and a living wage to give people a chance to even equalize to be able to be above cost of living. Everybody's paycheck should be at least a little bit above cost of living. That is my belief. And he was the one that was all about bringing peace and not getting involved in other countries' conflicts. He had a Pat Buchanan type of perspective that, don't need to be doing all these outside of our country military operations and adventures, as they call it. I really hate that word because it makes it sound like it's this great thing, but that's what they call it. So we know all that. The problem was he should have never, in my opinion, should have put in tariffs until the companies, the manufacturing buildings, factories were built, because it's only hurting people. And the tariffs have been pretty much a disaster, and it's just been really bad. So in the face of all that, we have this: Israel in talks with Washington for 20-year, $80 billion. $80 billion. I'm going to say it again. $80 billion military cooperation agreement. It's just shocking to even hear that, okay? Izzy is seeking a longer-term deal at the expense of U.S. taxpayers. As you know, they're building that base there. I did a video on that before. We're building a base there near the border of Gaza. Fearing support among conservatives is fading. Yes, this came out the 14th. Israel is seeking a new security agreement with the U.S. that would provide Tel Aviv with around $80 billion in military aid over 20 years, double the length of the previous 10-year agreement. Despite falling support for Izzy among the U.S. public, citing U.S. and Izzy officials, Axios reported on 14 November that negotiations are underway to renew the 2016 agreement that allotted $38 billion. That's $3.8 billion annually for 10 years in military aid to Izzy. Izzy is likely to seek at least that much going forward on a yearly basis, but over an even more extended period of time. Izzy officials are seeking a 20-year deal, this time anticipating that locking in similar agreements may only become more difficult in the future as support for Izzy among the U.S. public continues to decline. Axios noted this concern, writing that even now passing such a deal will now be more complicated because of growing frustrations with Izzy, including within Trump's MAGA base. The negotiations are both technically and politically complicated given MAGA's opposition to foreign aid and bipartisan concerns over Izzy's conduct in Gaza. Yes, these are the two main issues. We don't have money for our own citizens. If for a while there it was they weren't giving food to people, which is a life, it's life and death, something people need. It's really shameful. And then you have this money going to these other countries, again, that it should be used on people here for people. You know, that saying, taxation without representation? Well, that's what it feels like. What are we getting with our taxes? Really? Okay, 2024, Congress and the White House approved an additional emergency military assistance package to fund Izzy's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Yes, shameful. This has provided an extra $14.1 billion in aid on top of the $3.8 billion annual package from the previous 10-year deal. And, we already know what Tucker says on this. Tucker Carlson highlights Mark Levin's bloodlust. Mark Levin has repeatedly called for just murdering citizens, children in Gaza because they're Amalek or whatever. They're stained by blood guilt. The Prime Minister of Izzy said exactly the same thing. Yeah, basically he said that. So, in addition to extending the length of the deal, Izzy officials have proposed a change that would allow using some of the money for joint U.S. Izzy research and development, and including to fund defense technology, defense-related AI, and the Golden Dome missile defense program. The proposal for joint U.S. Izzy projects is intended to appeal to the Trump administration's America First instincts. Really? But it could benefit the U.S. military rather than just being sent to Izzy. Oh, because it could benefit the U.S. military rather than, yeah, sure, okay. This is out-of-the-box thinking. We want to change the way we handled past agreements and put more emphasis on U.S. Izzy cooperation. The Americans like this idea, one Izzy official said. Some of them, maybe. A growing number of Trump's supporters in the U.S., represented most prominently by conservative journalist Tucker Carlson, have begun to criticize U.S. support for Izzy. They say Izzy's deliberate killing of civilians in Gaza, including women and children, is immoral and based on the false idea that all Palestinians in Gaza are somehow guilty for Hamas's 7 October attack on Izzy military bases and settlements. They argue that the funds being sent to Izzy to kill Palestinian civilians should be used instead to improve life for U.S. citizens at home. Imagine that. Improve life for citizens at home. That should be a given for our government, because the government is supposed to be us, and we are supposed to be our paying our money should be used for what we need in our country. Okay? Not by donors who have these, and a lot of them have globalists, they're globalists. They have ideas outside the country. They don't have any attachment to their own homeland. They only care about globally what's going on for their bank accounts and their pockets. And, they just buy off people. We all know that. But we really need real good benefits here. We also need universal health care. I would really like this, if we actually had, fast rail systems, bullet trains, and some of these trains go as fast as airplanes, and in many other countries, Europe, China, Japan, we should actually have that. I love riding trains. And wouldn't it be nice if we could be able to take a train across our country? It's so large, really. It's a lot of miles. It's not like it's a tiny country. And when you have that many miles that you have to traverse across with a car, or, some people don't like to fly. I hate flying. I don't like flying. I have a phobia of flying. But they always, I always hear, but people who are working, they need, they need to be at their meetings quickly, so they take airplanes. Well, you can do that with the train, if you get those fast bullet trains, high-speed rail that every developed country has except us. It's really worth putting that together, making it an affordable and wonderful trip. It's like a hotel on wheels. It's great. Anyway, really, and it's not just Izzy who's getting this money, okay? We all know that. It's going to other countries, Argentina, it's going to Egypt, it's going to Ukraine, I guess. I don't know if that's still going on, but there's plenty of places it's going instead of staying here where it's needed. It'd be different if we were all doing well and everybody was able to have a living wage, and we were living well, and we were prospering, and things were going great. Then giving to other countries for things would make sense. But since it's not, we really should be working on our own home first. That's my thoughts. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, for subscribing, following my channel. And, hit that bell if you haven't already done that, so that when my videos come up, you'll get notified. And thanks so much for your support, for all of your beautiful messages that you send me under my videos. Great ideas, great insight, thoughtful perspectives. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're having a great day, evening, or morning. Until next time.